Hi, everybody. Jeff Gadik here from Leisure Group Travel, and with me is travel industry insider Wendy Dobrzynski from Circle, Wisconsin. How you doing, Wendy?
I'm good, Jeff, and how are you?
Doing really good. Doing really good. Good to see you again. Nice that you're in your home office, I'm guessing, today.
Yes, I am. Well, it is the Circle Wisconsin office is in my home, so it is always my office.
So you had a nice, easy transition to a home-based work environment, at least.
Yes, I did, as a matter of fact.
Good, good. We should have taken advice from you early on because I know a lot of people have struggled with that transition. So, Wendy, thank you for joining me today. I wanted to kind of get a sense of what you're seeing in Wisconsin. Now, obviously, the organization represents a number of members there across the spectrum of the travel industry. So, I guess first and foremost, tell me a little bit about what you're hearing from your members as far as travel and tourism right now in Wisconsin.
Well, some areas are doing better than others. I mean, there is a lot of leisure travel happening within the state because of our outdoor activities and such in our state parks and our coastlines and our water and everything else. Tour wise, with the group tour market, of course, it's down just like everybody else, but we have seen some tours come into the state. As a matter of fact, I believe even still right as of today, there's a tour group up in Door County. I know they were in Green Bay earlier this week, so I think they're still there. They might be heading home today, though. And I did have a group do a mystery tour to the southwestern corner of the state for, I believe, 4 days a couple of weeks ago. So we are seeing something, of course, not at the numbers we all want to see. But it's encouraging that there are some tours happening. But we'd like to
What
push them.
amazes me about the mystery tour is that when you think about how freaked out people are to travel overall right now, the faith that those travelers have in their group leader, where they're going to get on a bus and have no idea where they're going to
Well,
and still pull it together.
I think that really speaks volumes to that group leader and that tour operator that, they have that following. And those are some really dedicated people who really just also want to still get out and do things safely because also those tour operators have to reiterate the safety of traveling on a motor coach. And the protocols that the hotels are having and the attractions and the fact for one it does help that Wisconsin does have so much outdoor um, activities and sightseeing tours and boats and just there's so much you can do outdoors, but even still being able to visit some of those attractions, the safety protocols that are everyone's putting into place, it's safe. um, you just have to judge your comfort level, but those motor coaches are very safe to travel on. They're practicing social distancing, there's less people on the coaches, they're sanitizing. The air filtration systems are just my understanding on a lot of them. They have upgraded their filtration system, so they're pretty much
Right.
equal to the airlines. So it's a safe way to still be able to go and explore. But those tour operators and group leaders have to really be able to have the trust of their travelers, and uh, and that speaks volume to some of these tour operators who are being able to get out there and
In kind of echoing what you said from the Wisconsin standpoint, even when we're out of this, we're not going to be out of this. There's still going to be people that are looking for that safety and security in wide open spaces. And I would have to think after, having spent, plenty of time up in Wisconsin myself, is that you guys click a lot of those boxes off. So while things are pretty dark right now, I would think on a going forward basis, there's got to be a lot of appeal to the marketplace.
yeah, I mean, that's regardless of even the pandemic. I mean, the one thing about Wisconsin is, we do have such beautiful outdoor spaces. We have so many lakes and rivers and boat cruises and things you can see along the water. We have the Horicon Marsh with the beautiful bird watching, which I did this year, which was amazing. The driftless area with just even driving. The thing is, when you see the motor coaches on the highways in general, I always wish, because I love to get off on the off beaten path and I'm on these ups and downs and curves, and I'm like, oh, this would be so much fun in a motor coach. This is what I want motor coach travelers to be doing, is getting off I-94 and heading into the driftless region and phew, up and down. It's just so much fun. And so that's the kind of thing that I'm hoping that even that they're seeing that there's these other opportunities to enjoy our state as well as probably most other states, places, hidden gems that they haven't gone to because it's the usuals, even though our usuals are still really cool too. But I'm just saying, so that's the kind of thing that I'm hoping kind of starts to happen even for next year when people do get back on the road.
Good, good. And I think it will, as long as you're out promoting it and you've got a receptive audience. So, I'm going to go back a couple of months here. Obviously the issues facing the motor coach industry are pretty significant right now. And they've been practically begging Congress for assistance where they've been ignored up to this point. It's sad. And we see it in our office with motor coaches for sale that are, deeply discounted prices. So you can see the cracks in the armor already starting. You took a trip to DC for the government action. Can you just talk a little bit about what you saw there and what went down? Because I remember it being a very powerful experience.
It was. I went in May to the motor coach rally in Washington, D.C. And I went with Tri-State Travel out of Galena, Illinois. They're members of ours. And it was, once we got there, we kind of went on the sideline, or they dropped me off, and I was on, I forgot even what road I was on. I think I was on Congress. But I was where the buses were coming off the interstate into DC, and I sat there for 2.5 hours, Facebook living, watching over 1,000 motor coaches coming in and circling the National Mall. And it really was just amazing to see our industry come together and really try to tell our story that we are important and motor coach travel is important. And unfortunately, we're still trying to get this message through. And one of the things I've been using this term for years and years and years, when I even sit down and talk to people about motor coach market, people, when I talk to people who I'm talking, other DMO partners and attractions, and why the importance of motor coach market, or even just my neighbors or people at volleyball games and things, you know what? We're not sexy. And that's the big thing is airline travel to people in general. It's sexy. We're getting on an airplane and, that's cool. Trains, oh, that's sexy. That's kind of, ooh, wow. But motor coach, it's a bus. And that's the problem. People don't understand that it's a great way to travel. And yeah, maybe we don't have that sex appeal of airlines and trains. And that's why people are talking about those. But the motor coach market impacts so many jobs and so many different aspects of our economy. And it's getting nothing. And it's getting so frustrating. And so somehow other people have got to just stop and realize that buses are important to our economy.
Yeah, I applaud you for doing that. And, all of us have to have that similar stance because it's vital, to the tour industry, to the transportation industry, quite honestly. So, we'll look forward in that next stimulus package that hopefully operators can be made whole because, some of us can shut our businesses down, so if tour operations, if you don't have motor coaches, you can lay staff off, you've got some equipment, but, these operators have $500,000-$600,000 motor coaches that are sitting idle that, to the best of my knowledge, they're not getting relief on. So just
they're not getting relief. They still have to pay insurance on those. There's other aspects that they're paying on those motor coaches. I mean, they're sitting just stagnant. So the thing that people can do, and whether or not you are a motor coach operator, because I know they all have been doing it. But if you're a DMO, an attraction, a hotel, and you want to show support to the motor coach industry, call your local congressmen and women, call your senators, and tell them to support the CERTS Act. Now, actually, the CERTS Act has, I gotta remember the number, I was on the UMA call yesterday, but it has like 54 senators who are co-sponsors, and I think over 250 congressmen and women who are co-sponsors of the act, which is unheard of for one specific act. So we are getting the message to our legislators. There's more that need to help support it. I mean, I've been doing the same here in Wisconsin, but it's still being kind of held hostage, as well as the American public.
Well,
so
we need to keep pushing for it for sure.
Yeah. As political as I'm going to
get. Good. So, one of the casualties of this process is your Midwest Marketplace event, which is an awesome show, great vibe, super strong connections through that. So obviously you had to cancel Midwest Marketplace for this year. Two-part question. First one is, since so many events have move to virtual. Any particular decision why you didn't move to virtual? And then on top of that, maybe talk about what you are planning for when Midwest Marketplace comes up again in 2021.
Yeah, we talked about virtual, but we just feel like the Midwest Marketplace has been, this would have been our 7th year of the Midwest Marketplace. And we've really gotten to become, it's that cliche kind of that we're just this family, and, to go virtual, I think we would lose a lot of what the Midwest Marketplace really means when we get there, with all of us getting together. So it just didn't work out for this year. And so we did move it to April 11th through the 13th next year. Still going to have it in Oshkosh, Wisconsin at the Best Western and their convention center. And I just think it's just going to be, at this time, we're all going to need to want to be together. And we're really trying to make it so that we could get together. We are, watching everything. And once, we get through winter and we'll see where things are at, but we do have already, hand sanitizer ready for everybody. We are going to put plastic shields up. We're going to require masks, depending on what the state of the world is at the time too in April. All of it could still change. So we have everything in place if we were holding it today, but we are ready to, pivot or change whatever we have to do for in April. So just looking at, so we're just kind of holding steady, but we're really excited about it. We still have quite a few people who have signed up and who are just like waiting for us to have the show. We still have quite a few tour operators and planners coming to the show as of today. We'll see, but we're going to be opening up registration again to see where we're at, in winter and spring. So we'll make sure our numbers are there and everyone gets together and we have a good time and do what we do best.
Good. Well, I think that people are definitely going to be wanting to get back together again. The virtual, this is great what we're doing today, but the one-on-one is going to be really important, especially since people have been away for so long.
Yeah, I mean, because I've done some virtual conferences and I actually even did an in-person conference this year too. It's just, yes, you can sit on a tour operator phone call and have this conversation and it's pretty much the same as sitting down in front of them. But it really is those conversations after those appointments. But it's also, I miss when I did the virtuals, just even being able to talk to my peers and talk business, talk personal, but you miss that. And that's I think the biggest part of any show is really that camaraderie that we all have in that relationship. I know it sounds so cliche that we're a travel family, but we are a travel family. Because I'll tell you, when I did that show in August, in person, it felt so good to see people. Granted, we were masked up and everything else, and we didn't have the same type of evening events and things where, you really interacted, but it felt so good to see people and be able to talk to everyone.
Sure. Well, and I think that's one of the benefits of the group market going forward is that that desire to reconnect, the shared experiences that groups offer. One of the things I admire about you, Wendy, is you've got, great experience on the DMO level, leading a state organization like Circle Wisconsin, but, not everybody knows this, but you actually put together tours at one point in your life. So, it would be foolish to assume that we're just going to snap our fingers and go back to normal. So I guess, kind of getting inside your head a little bit, what do you think is going to change about the group experience from the operator perspective and maybe even from the destination perspective? What sort of crystal ball prognostication are you thinking is going to maybe shift in the marketplace going forward?
Well, I think for one, it is going to take a while for the tour groups to get back to, 35 to 40 people on a bus. I mean, so the groups are going to be smaller and people have to be flexible with that. Our hotels, restaurants, lodging, all of them, well, lodging, hotels, same thing. But anyway, attractions, there's going to have to still be that flexibility. And I think there's going to have to be more. But I do see that, that pent up people are talking about they want to travel. So we're going to have those people traveling next year. Hopefully we're going to see an incline, an increase in spring. I think we'll see a bigger increase in fall next year once either rapid testing or vaccine or just anything happens. But I think it's going to be more late summer, early fall when the numbers really kind of increase. But it's again, you got to still be flexible. You got to realize that the group market is going to come back. the group market is also very loyal. So remember them, maybe right now they're not traveling or they need your help now. And if you help them now, they're going to keep coming back year after year after year. If you go away from the market now, 5 years from now, you're going to go, where'd that motor coach market go? And we're going to be able to say, well, you stopped going after them and you didn't help them out when they really needed it. And because they're here to help you and they want their help, your help as well. So you just have to stay the course with them, continue building those relationships, and they'll be there. It's always been there. I mean, we've always seen it. They had their ups and downs, but they're always there. And they're going to come back before the 500 or 1,000 person meetings. Next year you're going to see more motor coach than you are going to see the big meetings. So be good to your tour operators and your motor coach operators and your group leaders, and realize that they're trying to help you as much as they need your help.
Well said. And I couldn't agree with you more about meetings and conventions, at least from a sort of a national and international scale. I think one of the cool things about the group market going forward is that sort of added layer of safety and security. When you think about some of the hesitancy people have to travel, going back to what we talked about earlier, is that you got a group of people that'll hop on a mystery trip, not even knowing where they're going, because they have a level of trust with that person putting it together. And that's going to be really important, is the camaraderie and the getting together, these groups that do, act like families, but then also knowing that there's somebody there who's vetting the vendors and making sure things are open and safe and all those sort of things. I talked with a gal who ran a trip up to Wisconsin, a group trip earlier this summer, and just the details she had to go through to make sure that she can get people in and out of the restroom at rest stops. Right. Things that people wouldn't think of, that in her mind, she's like, I don't want this to, spiral my trip downhill. So she's calling ahead to rest stops, making sure they have enough washrooms for her group coming through. And people really will appreciate that. I think that sort of carefree travel experience that the tour can provide.
Right. And that's the thing where I guess, again, that relationship building really plays into, being in person and getting on the phone call or just sending a quick email to some tour operators or anything, just to keep that communication going. Because if they trust you, their customers are going to trust them, and you're going to get those groups into your destination, into your attraction, into your hotel, into your restaurant. So just realize, yes, it's slow right now and it's bad right now, but if we just all stick together, they'll be back. They always do come back.
Yeah, you're right about that. Wendy, I really appreciate your time today, the insight. Glad to see you, and we'll look forward to the live Midwest Marketplace in April 2021. And yep, in the meantime, keep up the good work there and keep everybody in Wisconsin energized towards the tour market.
Well, thanks, Jeff. It's been a pleasure talking with you. And yeah, Wisconsin's still open for business and open for tours, and we'd love to have people come up and see us. So
Thanks, Wendy.
stay healthy, everyone.